Now that we've covered several of the big myths associated with email marketing, let's cover some of the key elements that you should consider when creating your own effective artist email. First, use creative subject lines. You're an artist, you're creative. Don't settle for boring subject lines like spring newsletter or June update. With a view of sending more frequent emails, you also now have the luxury of being more specific with your subject line, more precise. As an example, I was recently fortunate to have my large San Francisco heart featured on the cover of Where magazine. So my subject line for that email said, "My cover boy moment." The semi-mysterious sound of this subject line, combined with the payoff of the magazine cover as the lead story, made for a strong email with a high open and click-through rate. This is only one example. You might focus instead on your latest work in progress, one specific show coming up in the near future, or on the most recent piece that you sold. Just make sure that your subject line ties to that lead story in an interesting and eye-catching way, and you'll be off to a great start. Use consistent and simple branding. All of your emails should have a simple, easy-to-read header graphic or banner that is consistent in color and style to your website, your postcards, business cards, and overall brand. Apart from the inherent power of consistency across all these different brand elements, when combined with your commitment to delivering more frequent emails, it really helps build trust and credibility. And anything you can do, no matter how seemingly small, to build your brand and credibility will help create a better environment for making sales of your art. Your email header should link to the main page of your website, and you should also ensure that it's not so tall that it pushes your first story below the fold. Below the fold simply means so far down the page that it's out of view when people first open the email. Next, you want to use a balance of images and text. One of the other advantages of not trying to cram too much information into a single email is that you can keep the amount of text in your email to a minimum while including more images. And to be fair, it's less about adding images gratuitously, but rather about keeping a good image-to-text ratio. I'm sure you've had the experience where you've received an email newsletter from a fellow artist that may include a header image and an image or two, but is then packed with line after line of text, often with hyperlinks on every other line. Not only does it make your email visually boring, the likelihood of people going through all of that information is almost zero. Again, we come back to the spillover benefit of sending more frequent emails. Instead of listing shows and events coming up in the next 1 to 3 months, you can focus on what's coming up in the next week or two. Last but certainly not least, make sure you use a mix of brand stories and sales pitches. This gets into an area with a bit more nuance than the discussion of images versus text. For example of a brand story, I'll refer back to having my SF heart on the cover of Where magazine. I'm not sharing this news with my email list because I sell hearts. There's no button beneath it saying buy now. It's simply a story that provides evidence or social proof that I'm an established artist and my work is being recognized. By contrast, a sales pitch in your email might include a feature piece or a collection of art followed by a direct call to action, something known in marketing speak as a CTA. The CTA can say learn more or buy now. The sales pitch invites people to buy something while the brand story gives them the confidence or trust in you to do so. I always like to lead with brand and close with sales. Time and again, this approach has proven to be effective. I also like to say that not every email you send needs to include an explicit sales pitch, but absolutely every email you send should include a brand story.